Good morning. Welcome into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. This is the Martin Houston Show. We are live, local, and ready to get things rolling. Having some technical issues on the radio station side. We will definitely get it rolling this morning as we try to get things set up. I apologize to those of you who are on the live stream, as well as those that will not be tuned in on the on the radio airwaves. We'll hopefully get that going. So I am glad to have you with us on this beautiful, beautiful Wednesday morning. We are live and local on Tide 100.9. We're powered by Box Eye Care. Box Eye Care brings us to you each and every single day. So they power us right here for you to get involved. It is the Sound of Bama Sports, your show, your team. We're going to invite you to get in on the conversation, post your thoughts, your comments, and your reactions to get to get it going. And so remember that this is a day that the Lord has made. Let's rejoice and be glad in it. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone. It is your opportunity to be the difference you want to see in the world today. All right, let me make sure I can get X in. X, can you hear me this morning? All right, don't think X can hear me either. So until we get these technical issues worked out this morning, I am going to I'm going to go ahead and enroll this morning with the playbook for today. Playbook for today includes Ryan Williams, big time. Ryan Williams making the cover of the EA Sports college football. So that's a big deal for him. Definitely kudos to him. We'll talk about what that means, him and Smith and a bunch of other guys, but definitely the highlight for the day are those guys. So we can talk about that. Interesting things coming out of the SEC Media Days. Kirby Smart speaking up, talking up, saying the biggest problem with the biggest problem with college football has to be addressed, and what he thinks the biggest problem in college football is. So we'll find out what he thinks that is as well. And it's pretty obvious to me, and whether he said he doesn't even know who's dealing with that biggest problem. He don't know who's deciding it. He don't know if that is something that the college, the local level needs to, not the local level, the SEC, or if it's happening from the other side of things from the NCAA. Speaking of the NCAA, should the SEC leave? Greg Burns talked about that in terms of what his thoughts are. Sankey saying that it is a question that is out there. So it's a lot to get to in terms of that. And let me see, what else did we have? Rivalry games. So it's a lot rivalry games coming from the SEC going away. So X, what's your thoughts, man? Still, you can hear me, but I can't hear you. So go ahead. I can hear you that.
Okay. As far as rivalry games going away, I missed that part of what we said at the SEC meetings, but I think that is absolutely insane to have rivalry games on way potentially. The SEC, I mean, every conference in college football really built off of rivalry games. I can imagine a year without playing Auburn and Tennessee. As far as I know, that it's never happened in my lifetime. As far as remembering and watching football, it's never happened. Shoot, last year was the first time I can remember us not playing Mississippi State and Ole Miss in my lifetime. So I can imagine no rivalry game. It's important to college football. It's one of the most impactful parts of college football. The third Saturday in October, the Iron Bowl. And that's just as an Alabama fan, but I enjoy watching Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, Georgia, the Egg Bowl, all of these games.
They're not getting rid of all rivalry games. They're just saying that they don't know that they can protect two rivalry games. In other words, Alabama would have to choose: is it Tennessee or Auburn? Georgia and would have to choose: is it Auburn or Florida? Mississippi State would have to choose, which one it is. And the problem is when you only have 8 games and you now have 16 teams, unless you go to a bona fide quad type of scenario like the NFL, where you have, 4 teams in each pod, and then you lock in teams. That's the only way I can see that you can make it happen, because the league needs to. What was the biggest complaint last season? Texas came in and they had a cakewalk. Yeah, I mean, and they're going to have a cakewalk this year. Texas was a totally different team last year if they had to play tougher opponents. Now, don't get me wrong, Texas was probably one of the top 3 or 4 teams in the country, but they also had the easiest schedule and did not face the same type of in-season adversity that some of the other teams had to face in called them out on it. And so the rivalry conversation X is protecting that second game. Because right now, if you take and put 2 rivalry games, I forgot with the way the schedule works, if you do the same season home and away, guys won't play a fourth of the league in their career. They already weren't playing it before. Guys were coming through and graduating and not playing all the other SEC schools. Is that important?
That hasn't happened since the A&M and Z.
That's my point. And now it's getting worse with the addition of the 2 teams. So it's an interesting conversation. Do you like and that'd be the question to the listening audience. Would you rather have your SEC have 2 rivalry games and 9 games in the SEC, or would you rather have 1 rivalry game and 8 games? Because right now, you look at Alabama's schedule. Alabama has 10 Power 4 games. Okay. And, they would have 11 automatically this year if they had that 9th game. To me, college football is at a crossroads. They need to either decide to become the big boys and just play with the big boys, and then let the other guys figure out how to finance themselves and pay for themselves and all of that. And if you do that, maybe this additional money that's coming from the House allows there to be a Division 1A and a Division 1B. But it's these teams can't compete unless they get on the schedule of the Alabamas and Auburns and Tennessees of the world. And if you take that away, that's just one program that's somewhere down the road probably going to drop out of college football D1 or drop their program altogether.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of decisions to be made, and I know what it's been throughout my life, and just the changes in the 20 plus years that I've been a true fan of the game. It's funny that I'm older than all, including the SEC conference championship game. I remember when the Big 12 got their championship game, and you see how that's changed it, and now all conferences have championship games. Going from the Big East disbanding, now the Pac-12 disbanding. It's one of those seasons like, what's next? And I was okay with all of those changes, kind of really up until now, because now it's just 100% purely driven by money. And being driven by money can destroy what college football has been.
All of those other moves you mentioned was driven by money.
I know, but like this, this is like making those moves on steroids.
Yeah, but now they're on that path where they have to make moves for money, to save the leagues, to save the teams. You can't have this big of a hodgepodge of stuff, and that's why could you imagine? Well, let's say that conversation and add it to the second break X around Sankey was asked about it, and Burns commented on the SEC leaving the NCAA. They had some thoughts on that. We'll take a quick break here. Coming back on the other side, we'll keep the conversation rolling right here on the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. All right, welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. We appreciate all of you who are tuned in on the live stream. Unfortunately, do not have the radio stream going this morning. We'll figure out what's going on with that once we're able to connect back over there. But hey, listen, you're getting the Martin Houston Show powered by Box Eye Care. And Box Eye Care does it each and every day. Go visit them at boxeyecare.com. Also, North River Timber Company, North River North River Timber CO at gmail.com is where you can find them. 205-242-5127 is where you can call. Courtney White and his team can help you with timber harvesting, appraisals, and land management. They like to tell you that having land is like having money in the bank. Give North River Timber Company LLC a call today. Once again, that's 205-242-5127, serving their clients faithfully in West Alabama and East Mississippi. All right, X, we were talking about in that first break, we were just talking about the situation or circumstances with, the SEC considering 9 games. And if they go to 9 games, they're not committing to protecting that second rivalry. And you, along with several other people, saying we have to keep some rivalry, some simple situation of that. And before we move into the SEC, moving out of the NCAA, and if that's a possibility, it's me, Marvin said, we need simple solutions. Every team should have times when they get easier schedules than other times when they have gauntlets. To me, with 16 teams, you ought to be able to just about guarantee a fair and balanced schedule, X. There's no reason. There's no reason when you look at the teams now, and I think that the bottom of the pack may come up a little bit. Vanderbilt's still going to be the bottom of the pack. Okay, let's not fool ourselves for several reasons other than getting the talent. But they're going to be a better team than they used to be just because of pure numbers, and the fact that guys move and transfer, and that they can get guys from other teams that are starters and move them to, because they want to play in the SEC. Okay. And so Vanderbilt's going to get guys that they used to not be able to get, that'll be mature, 3rd, 4th year guys with, 1, 2, 3 years to play. So, but any other thoughts on that from what It's Me, Marvin said?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of those situations where it sounds plausible, and yes, I think you could have a fair balanced schedule, but you're talking about having an easy schedule versus a gauntlet, then you really would take the risk of destroying rivalry in and out of every year. Because let's be honest, some team rivalries aren't as competitive as in Tennessee or Auburn for Alabama. What if your rivalry is Vandy and Mississippi State, or that's how, or Arkansas, and those knock on those. Every so often they're really good, but most of the time they're middle to bottom of the pack. So
yeah, and I don't think that all teams have rivalries. I mean, that we think of. And then, of course, Georgia has a Georgia Tech game, as Blind Squirrel Sports calls it, the joke by Coke. for those who don't know, if I'm not mistaken.
Florida gets out for their rivalry. They rotate between Miami and Florida State.
Yeah. And of course, most teams have some version of it, but a lot of them are overlays. And It's Me, Marvin said Alabama was penalized last year due to strength of schedule. And that is a conversation that, that seems to be driving part of the conversation at SEC Media Days right now, X, is the fact that Alabama and South Carolina were both left out last year, played tougher schedules than, I think they said it was 2 teams, at least one team I know had not losing records, but 500 records against, opponents. A lot of their opponents had 6-6 records, and several of the teams getting in. And that's the problem with it. That's the problem though, X, when you I would rather see 4 divisions in all of college football, and 4 divisions in each conference. In other words, you have the Power Four, and if Notre Dame don't want to play ball that way, fine, go play with the other people. But you join a conference. Stop giving their athletic department and their athletic director the same power as a commissioner. He is a one-team commissioner, is what it amounts to. He gets to sit in the room and vote just like they do, because he represents an independent. All the other independents are having to cave and join leagues. Notre Dame needs to do likewise. Once you have those 4 leagues, and each league divided into 4 teams, then you get 4 teams from every the top 4 teams from every conference makes it. I mean, and if you
one of the big boys, you just add up.
Do what now?
You need 3 teams from each conference?
No, you go to 16 teams, because now you're getting 4 teams from each conference. Each division has a representative, just like the NFL, except for the NFL has, only had, half the number of teams that the league would have. But they each like they have people winning making the conference, the playoffs, and hosting home games that would even be second or third in another division. But sometimes those teams get in and win, and Hugh Freeze talked a little bit about that, in terms of, he says follow the NFL model. And I think that's what he was talking about, because he was talking about how sometimes those teams get in and they make some noise in the playoffs. They affect the postseason. So that would be.
That would mean the Big Ten would have to actually shrink in size.
No, they don't have to shrink. No, you just, if you have more, if it's 18 teams, you have 2 leagues that have 2 of your divisions have 1 more team than everybody.
Okay.
Yeah, but what's going to happen if you go to that model is teams are going to join the league, right? All of a sudden, you'd have 4 leagues with 20 teams, or you'd have 4 teams with 18 teams, or whatever the number is, and then all the other schools, they're on their own, right? If you're why
at Boise State,
could you imagine? Could you? Right, and they would. Would you? If you were a conference, would you pull Boise in if you were the Big 12?
Yeah.
Yeah, right? Could you imagine, X, back to the SEC leaving the NCAA and NCAA tournament? Could you imagine if Amazon had to follow the same rules as a smaller online company? That's what you have right now is you have Amazons and Googles and all of that are treated different, and they're not even fully regulated like the or association like college football, but they still get treated differently. They have stronger rules and restrictions around them, but they also have more clout. And so that's the problem with college football that is getting worse, is that the gap between the halves, meaning the Power Fours, and the other schools is getting bigger, but yet you have a body trying to manage it. And let me tell you why. It's because of March Madness. If there was no March Madness X, the NCAA probably would be totally irrelevant, but they run the March Madness tournament. And that's what Burns used as a reason he's not sure he wants to leave. Well, Who says that they can't still run it? What else would they have to do? That's the only money maker that they're involved with. That's the only thing right now that they that they do consistently at the right level.
Yeah, I guess looking at it, if everybody left, you run your own tournament, wouldn't you?
Huh?
Well, no, basketball big because it's 300 something Division One teams. So it's a little different than football. I think it's almost 3 times. It's like 2.5 times the number of teams, so it'd be a little bit more difficult.
In baseball, it's the same. There's baseball teams that all the other sports have things that are D1, but let's be real, X. Let's be real. Some of those 300 teams get in. Why? Because they win their tournament.
Yeah.
There are other SEC schools that get left out that are better than the teams that get in. There's ACC.
Yeah, one bid league. Now you're talking about all the one bid leagues and stuff like that.
Yeah, they're getting in, and that's fun to watch, and it's March Madness and all of that stuff. But in basketball, you'd have the same March Madness if you just had the Big 12. So anyway, do you think that day is ever going to come that they're going to eventually have to become pretty much the minor league of the NFL at the rate it's going?
I mean, I think once you introduce NIL into it, money into it, that's the path you were headed on anyway. So I think it's just a matter of time, really.
Agree. Something's going to have to change, but it'll be interesting to see. SEC, Big Ten, according to Sankey, the Power Four, they've already been having that conversation. So it's out there. It's in the stratosphere. So we'll.
The SEC and the Big Ten lead, the ACC and the Big 12 will follow.
Or they'll stay in those two teams will become. I could see a SEC Big Ten scenario, and then they take the remaining powerhouses in football and become a football only conference that football leaves, and they take Clemson and Florida State and Miami and the big boys from the other two conferences, and you have North and South. So split East and West. So I can see those two leagues doing that in football for football only purposes, because that's where all the changes we're talking about is all about football, because that's where the money is. So, all right, coming back on the other side, X, we'll talk about Kirby and the portal, SEC Media Days, and then, of course, we'll throw in Ryan Williams on the cover. What does that say? Have they proved that there's a cover bias or curse like in the Madden? Remember, you didn't want to be on the Madden cover going into the season. We'll talk about that and more. If you want to add your comments, your reactions, your thoughts over in the chat, we'll let you do that. We'd love to work you into the conversation this morning. We'll be back on the other side. All right, welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. We're glad that you got up and at 'em with us this morning. We're doing a live stream version only today. Had some issues over at the studio, but hey, you tuned into the right place, and we're able to do it whether it's live stream and the radio airways. We're able to do it each and every day because we have the great folks over at Dixie Battery Supply. Dixie Battery Supply. They help us do this each and every day, and we invite you to check them out at dixiebatterysupply.com. They buy junk batteries at their Northport, Tuscaloosa, and Bessemer locations. They have reconditioned batteries starting at $60. So regardless of what you need, you can check out dixiebatterysupply.com. All right, and want to remind you that there are sponsorship opportunities available for you to be a part of the program and to keep us on the airwaves. Join the championship roster, become one of our daily sponsors. You can email Martin at martinhouston.org for more information on exactly what our rates are. We can build a custom package just for you. All right, Blind Squirrel Sports says, why is Ryan Williams wearing gloves on the cover if he loses NIL deal with Sally Hansen? Maybe. X, maybe X, you have to ask, did they tell him to put the gloves on? I hadn't even noticed that. So, what are your thoughts?
No, that's funny. About the cover in general, or just
that particular point at first, right? Blind Squirrel Sport, the Georgia fan pulling out the fact that he's covering up. And I guess the question is, if you were EA Sports, would you have him cover up the fingernails to prevent that from being the story as well?
I mean, you wear they dress how they play the game, and he wears gloves in the game, so that's kind of just my thought. I completely forgot he had that NIL deal.
Yeah, you wonder what was his take, you think, X, on on the NIL. If the cover remains where it is, they got a bunch of people in there. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but a bunch of people in there in terms of the cover. If that ends up being the cover, they have coaches in there, they have officials in there. Huh? Do what now?
That's the deluxe edition cover.
Yeah, and what is it? Tim Tebow, Marcus Freeman. I'm trying to figure out who all. Lane Kiffin.
You got three former legends on it: Tim Tebow, Reggie Bush, and Denard Robinson, who was on the last cover of the NCAA 14 game. And then coaches, you got Ryan Day, James Franklin, Kenny Dillingham from Arizona State, Marcus Freeman, and Kirby Smart. And then the players are Nick Singleton, Jeremiah Smith, Jeremiah Love, Ryan Williams, Bryce Underwood, who was the number one player in the 2025 class, as well as Sam Levitt, Caleb Downs, Dylan Stewart from South Carolina. Then you have Cade Klubnik and Garrett Nussmeyer.
Yeah. So it's an interesting thing, but anyway, Ryan Williams on the cover. Kudos to him. What type of pressure do you think that puts on him and Smith? Are they predicting that these two guys are going to battle it out for for the Heisman? You think that's a undertone? Because I mean, you picked two sophomores as the top two players in college football. It's pretty much what you're saying.
Here's the reason why they did it. Now, granted, they were considered the best two freshmen in the country last year. But this is the second year of the game, the sophomore season of the new college football game. So they went with the top two sophomores in the country.
Well, pretty good marketing strategy. And it doesn't hurt that those two guys are probably the two most talked about players coming back from last season. And we want to take a moment and welcome in the radio audience. Got that figured out. Apologize for you guys. We're talking SEC, not SEC, but the cover for EA Sports. So, X, any other thoughts on that before we get ready to get out of here?
Yeah, I think it's awesome. The game coming back. I will definitely be pre-ordering it soon. That's my downtime, my relaxing decompression avenue in video gaming. So I'm excited about it. They're bringing back some features high school and in the Road to Glory mode. So I know a lot of people are excited about that and excited to see what else they're bringing back to the game.
All right, let's jump over to that Kirby Smart conversation in terms of Kirby seems to be pretty adamant about the transfer portal, highlighting several of the comments. Did you hear what he had to say about it?
I did not hear what Kirby said about the portal.
Yeah, he talked about the whole setup around the timing of it, how many options they have, and how many opportunities they have. So let's take those. First of all, what are your thoughts on 1 versus 2 windows?
The 2 windows, I think, is something that you can take it down to 1, or if you don't take it down to 1, you don't get to enter. If you enter the winter portal, you don't get to automatically enter the spring portal without punishment. I think that's a good way to stop all this jump around. We've got to talk about this. You can't enroll early, then jump into the spring portal, stuff like that. It limits a lot of the craziness of the portal.
Yeah, and one of the things I thought was interesting that he brought up, and then I'll come back on the one window. In the typical window, I guess first of all, let me ask you, which window do you think they should go to? The December window or the April window? Which one should be the one window if they go to 1?
April.
Yeah, and that's what Kirby talked about. Part of it being that the situation with the seasons overlapping the transfer portal. I mean,
football's the only sport that has 2 windows.
Yeah,
right.
I don't know. I don't keep up with the other ones enough.
They're the only one I hear about having 2 windows. Basketball players. Now, granted, they're technically the only sport that ends where you can have season ends where you can have 2 windows. But baseball has 1 window after their season. Softball after their season. Basketball after their season is over. They only have 1. So I feel like but football, the reason there's an April portal right now is because you have an opportunity to see where you stand again at the end of spring ball. But I feel like you pick one. Or, keep it at 2, but you only get to transfer in 1 window.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I don't think you can make it. Here's the problem or the challenge is because it overlaps seasons, The losing teams get a chance to better their roster because they're finished at the end of December, end of November, early December. And then the other teams that are in the playoffs, their roster leaks as they lose. But then you have the championship teams that are playing all the way into January. So to me, the whole concept is kind of messed up because it goes from one semester to the next semester. Okay.
Yeah.
So to me, they should technically look at a one window. If they're going to do a one window, move it to the end of the year, end of the second semester, and make everything work out, where you can make the transfer, you can make your decision, but you finish up the school year. Kick spring practice back to the end of the semester, just like anything else. If you want to be pro football players and paid football players, you don't get spring, you don't get a summer. That's your OTAs.
Yeah.
Spring, and so you would have between the end of April or the first of May through the off season, and that becomes your off season. And the players who want to transfer and the teams who want to take transfers, they figure out how to work them into their team. So, because what's the difference between a transfer coming in end of April and May, and a kid coming from high school coming in at the end of April or May, whenever the school system ends and summer starts? And that becomes the window.
Yeah. No, I like that idea. Kick it till after school gets out. Kick everything till after school gets out. Because why is football the one sport that gets to double dip or be dipped into? I think it's just a crazy thought process to run it that way. But we've got Pat joining us on the Environment Strategy Solutions Hotline. How you doing this morning, Pat?
Hey, good morning. Martin, this is the one time that I am with you 100% having it start as when they get out of school, May the 20th, 15th, whatever day they get out, finish their semester. If they get from that time until the end of June in order to transfer, and one time only, one transfer only, or you lose a year of eligibility. And then I understand that that's probably not going to fly, but you're going to see how that's antitrust or blah, 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 but we got to get a handle on things. And that would be a great time. What do you think?
I think that's the best way to do it, Pat. I think that's the best to even the playing field, to give a fresh start for everybody. I think that's the best move. Is to do it in that manner at the end of the semester. And if you do it another way, you get penalized, and that's the price you have to pay.
Yeah, and I agree with that in terms of what's happening there. So we probably need to have a little bit more conversation around that, Pat. In terms of that was just my initial thought on it. Kirby's really upset about it. He even said that he doesn't know who's making the decision. It's like, who's making the decision on this portal thing? But the coaches, he did say that the coaches want one window. But I think if they make the one window decision, they're going to have to change spring practice, which I think the coaches would be. Do you think the college coaches would argue with no spring practice, but go to an OTA model where you could do some 7-on-7s and things like that in the spring with the roster you have, but then in the summer be able to go out and have a few, a week here, a week there, spread throughout to work in the new guys that come in from the portal?
Yeah.
From the portal.
The freshmen.
You also would get the freshmen that are coming from high school.
Yep. And then you put And now you prioritize back your student aspect of the student athlete. You're not asking guys to leave teams in the middle of a semester. The schools in the middle of the semester. You have guys who are finishing up and things like that. I think there's some advantages there. And people say, but that limits the opportunities. Man, make a 1 year commitment. Make a 1 year commitment.
Hey, you guys realize there's 32 NFL teams and 56 spots or so, or 52 spots, 53 spots on each team, something of that nature. That means 99% of the kids in college aren't going to the NFL, and they need to be getting a degree. And that's what it's about, getting a degree also, Martin.
Absolutely. That's what I'm saying. They need to reprioritize the student aspect of it, student athlete aspect, the student part of the student athlete. So, we got to get ready to get out of here. We're going to have a quick, we're going to have a break here. Coming back on the other side, we'll have the Harvest Church 2-minute warning. I'll be presenting the Christian Moment of the Week as Scotty Hollins is out on assignment. Thanks for joining in, Pat. Appreciate all of you who are listening. We'll carry this conversation over to tomorrow, and we'll also have some recruiting because there's some big news, big list, 9 big visits coming into Tuscaloosa this weekend. So I'm going to have to get used to that. That's crazy. Spring visits, summer visits, whatever they call them. This is the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, powered by Bob Sidekick.
Coming up next on The Stingray Show.
On Monday, the field of 64 in college baseball was revealed, and 13 SEC teams made a regional, including the Alabama Crimson Tide going down to Hattiesburg. On Wednesday evening, Tom Hart of ESPN and the SEC Network will stop by to talk a little regional action, as well as Chris Lee of Southeastern 16. The Stingray Show is going all in on college baseball regionals, and hey, if you don't like it, you better learn to love it, because it's the best show going today, baby. Woo!
Tune into The Stingray Show, Wednesday night from 6 to 7 p.m. on Tide 100.9.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread.
Good Wednesday morning. Alabama U.S. Senator Tommy Tuberville officially announcing his gubernatorial bid. That happened yesterday afternoon. An official website was launched yesterday afternoon confirming the news with the following message. Tommy Tuberville is running for governor. His campaign was facilitated by Lieutenant Governor Will Ainsworth, dropping out of the race last week. Click TuscaloosaThread.com for more West Alabama news, sports, and weather. It's free throughout the day. Don Hartley, Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Happy hump day to you. We're moving along a little on the slower side. If you're traveling on 2059 westbound at 359, we do have a report of a fender bender, and traffic is moving pretty smoothly across the rest of the area. Not seeing severe delays, but starting to get some volume on 43 southbound onto McFarland. Also the McFarland and Lurleen Wallace intersection. That's a little tighter right now. With your Tuscaloosa traffic now, I'm Tammy Thomas.
Or $30,000 in debt? Then listen to this. You may not be required to pay it all back.
I was drowning in debt.
I had over $36,000 in debt.
If I would have just made the minimum payments, it would have taken me 59 years to pay off.
Whether it's credit card, medical, or personal loan debt, National Debt Relief can help significantly reduce what you owe. In fact, debt relief payments can be 50% less than your monthly credit card payments. That's right, half as much as you're paying now.
National Debt Relief reduced my debt by over $27,000.
With National Debt Relief, you have a powerful team that knows how to talk to your creditors.
National Debt Relief, they got me out of debt.
More than 550,000 Americans have used National Debt Relief to reduce their debt. Call 800-885-5555 to see if you qualify to settle your debt for a fraction of what you owe. That's 800-885-5555. 800-885-5555.
O'Reilly. Check engine, ABS, or maintenance light on? Take the guesswork out of your warning lights with O'Reilly Veriscan. The service is free and provides a report with solutions verified by ASE certified master technicians. And if you need help, we could recommend a shop for you. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
This report is sponsored by Stand Up to Cancer.
Townsend Nissan now with up to $6,000 off select Frontiers, $4,000 off the Pathfinder, and $13,000 off all remaining Titans. All made in the USA. That's Townsend Nissan Tuscaloosa.
Joe Buck and John Smoltz welcoming you back to the City Center Convenience Mart. Uh-oh. She's looking at the cigarettes, but she just grabs the gum off the counter. Stand Up to Cancer and Rally want you to reduce your risk for cancer. Go to takeahealthystand.org.
Get summer started right for the family at the Seafood and Crawfish Summer Kickoff Darty at the venue June 7th. The Darty starts at noon and rolls on till 6 p.m. Admission is free, and we have 3 different bands entertaining. Not only does the venue have 2 new restaurants, Santo Taco and Uncle Nick's Italian Eatery, but we have recruited a cameo appearance from a Cajun seafood restaurant. Shrimp, crab, crawfish, and more. Join us June 7th. Visit venuetuscaloosa.com for more information.
Oh, these polymers aren't as flexible as batch K3.
Researcher Laurie is stretched thin.
Did you get the vulcanization analytics from V66? Wait, are these rubber scores from last week?
She needs to hire new lab technicians so she can bounce back into her old self.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our matching platform lets you spend less time searching and more time connecting with candidates. Redeem your $75 credit at Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
The sound of Bama Sports. Your show, your team. The Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. It's now time for the Harvest Church 2-minute warning. And of course, on Wednesday, we like to highlight Scotty Hollins, Executive Director with Blueprint Ministries for the Harvest Church Christian Moment of the Week. But he's out, so I'm going to get it. You know, one of the biggest things that I dislike, Wyatt, Chase, guys, is when you have a fan who is lukewarm. One of we call them jump on the bandwagon type fans. Well, when it comes to your faith, I think God feels the same way about lukewarm fan. Fan means fanatic. Are you a fanatic for Christ? Revelation 3:15-16 says, I know your deeds, that you're neither cold nor hot. I wish you were either one or the other. So because you are lukewarm, neither hot nor cold, I'm about to spit you out of my mouth. One says vomit. One translation says vomit. When it comes to being lukewarm, having a lukewarm faith, it is deceptive. It looks like just enough Christianity to pass, but underneath is passionless, powerless, and without impact. Jesus doesn't mince words here. The scriptures are clear. Lukewarm living offends. And the word says that God would rather us be cold or know we're lost than lukewarm, and know we're lost than being lukewarm and think we're fine. Either hot or cold, man. Either get in the boat and stay in the boat, come hell or high water, or get out of the boat. That's what the word says. Why? Because lukewarm is the enemy of revival. Is being complacent and comfortable ultimately will lead to compromise. Don't be satisfied with spiritual crumbs. Get hungry. Resistance to the full fire of the Holy Spirit will lead to your ember and your fire going out. So, you know, the call today is simply this: return to the fire, fan the flame. If the embers in your life, if you ever say about your Christian life, I remember when, I used to do, I once did. There was a lot of folks who thought that they were committed to Christ and on fire for Christ. COVID exposed them as lukewarm Christians. Once they got out of the habit of going to church on a consistent basis, the fire actually went out, because that Sunday was just enough to keep the embers burning, but now it's gone out. Well, relight it, return, repent, and remain on fire for God. I've preached this message last week in terms of being lukewarm. I spoke that message last week at the church. If you follow Harvest Church, go to facebook.com/HC Tuscaloosa. You can see the 7-day devotional that supports this devotion in its entirety. Don't get caught being lukewarm. Be hot or cold, on fire for God, or man, go out there and live life to the fullest in terms of what the world wants and expects. But we'd love to have you, regardless of your spiritual condition, alive and well, lukewarm, or cold, freezing cold. We'd love to invite you to come join us at Harvest Church. You can join us tonight at dinner at 6, worship time and teaching time at 6:30. We'd love to have you. Free meal there, donations accepted. And then join us on Sunday at 9 a.m. for Bible study, and then at 10 a.m. for word and worship. I'm Martin Houston. Thanks to guys back in the studio for pressing all the right buttons. Thanks to Xavier. Thanks to all the callers and viewers and chatters for being part of the program. Remember this: trust in the Lord always, lean not your own understanding, in all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will direct your path. Join us at Harvest Church, where we love God and love people, and we love to love on you. Roll Tide, everybody. We'll catch you on tomorrow.
Let's all celebrate and have a good time.
Thank you for listening to The Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app. WTBC